I mean, every once in a while, I'll sit there and be like, it'd be nice to have my legs back, but I don't sit there and dwell on it like I used to. I don't sit there and let it drag me down through the mud anymore. It's a positive thing now because we're able to inspire and motivate, help other people throughout their lives by showing them that as long as you believe in yourself and you dig down deep, you can accomplish anything. And on top of that is you don't let your disabilities define who you are. You let your disabilities be your superpowers, and you do what you can with them to improve people around you, including yourself's life.
Welcome back to the show, Disruptors. I'm your host, Aaron Hale, and this is Point of Impact. It takes a big man to deal with what our guest today has been dealing with lately. They told him, if you don't like it, you can go kick rocks. If you're not pleased with what we give you, well, you can pound sand. If you don't want to wedge that big frame and that prosthetic leg of yours into the little seat we give you, well, you could just go fly another airline for all we care, because this is no longer the friendly skies. That's what they told him. And you know what? He didn't like it. And he's not going to stand for it. He won't sit for it either. Brian Big Country Conwell has dealt with quite a bit over the years. A retired Army sergeant. He's dealt with war, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and the loss of one of his legs due to a motor vehicle accident. He's learned how to live and walk all over again with a prosthetic device. He's gotten through it all with the love of his family and through para-athletics. He's a multi-sport medalist, both here at home and abroad. And he's a power lifter. He throws discus and shot put. And he does multiple wheelchair sports. He's been able to deal with it and then some. But it would incense anybody to dealt with this with a complete lack of customer service that he was received. But to do this to such a wounded veteran who served to defend this country, well, I'll tell you what, that pisses me off to no end. That's why I invited him to come speak with me. So, here's Brian Big Country Conwell sharing his story and his experiences. Welcome to Point of Impact, Brian. Big Country Conwell. It's Mr. Big Country, Mr. Country. Do I call you Mr. Big? I'm Sergeant Big Country. Sorry.
I appreciate you having me on, brother. Hell yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, brother. I've been waiting on this one for a hot little minute now. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing well. I mean, I appreciate your patience as just before I found the record button and smashed it, and I think I broke it. Going through all sorts of technical issues lately. So, yeah, it had to offload the program, reload it, and then, of course, updates, and then restart the computer, and then I couldn't log back into my computer. All sorts of stuff. It's like being back in the military again.
Gotta have those wonderful bugs, man. It's technology. It's gonna happen.
What do you mean you didn't bring the tow bar?
Hey, I'm a mechanic. I always got the damn tow bar.
Who didn't? You didn't bring a backup for the crypto? Oh my gosh. So, anyways, enough about my problems. Let's talk about your problems. No, let's not talk about your problems. Let's talk about you. First, you're apparently, because I'm blind, I just have to, go off of what I read and hear. But apparently, you're a fairly large man.
Yeah, I'm about 6'6", 285.
Okay. And as we'll get into a little bit later, and sometimes it's tough to squeeze into the economy seats on airplanes. So you gotta get into the big seats, especially with some adaptive equipment you've got. You
Yeah.
you are a disabled veteran, former Army. What did you do in the Army?
I was a generator mechanic, 91 Delta. So I worked in the GSE department of the motor pools, the ground support equipment. But anybody who's a mechanic in the military knows that you don't just do your job, you do everybody else's job too. So, just love being a mechanic, man, working on all the equipment and stuff. Did get the gun. Me and two other guys from my unit, whenever we deployed to Iraq, got the gun for our commander. So we spent some time in the turret in Iraq, which was uh, not as eventful as a lot of other people's, but we still had a couple of crazy moments that was fun. Um, you know.
Um, uh, yeah, I started in the Navy as a cook before I went to the Army for EOD, which totally normal career progression. Um, I tell people I got my first confirmed kill with an egg roll before I started saving lives instead. But yeah, you had some deployments. You were in for about 9 years ish. Came in around mid 2000s.
A little over. Came in July of 2006. A little bit later than I wanted to. My first wife didn't want anything to do with the military, so stayed back, joined the family business. So I joined up July of '06. Was in almost 10 years before I got hurt. So was actually getting ready. We was talking to retention. Was actually getting ready to reenlist. Fixing to go to back to Fort Lee for ANOC and get that NCO school out of the way, and then we were going to go teach at the generator mechanic school on Fort Lee, and then it was going to be off to Fort Benning after that. We probably had the next, I think it was like the next 6 to 7 years mapped out in my career before it was going to be time to reenlist again. I was going to be a lifer, man. If I hadn't got hurt, I'd still be in right now.
Well, what did you? What compelled you to join the military? Was it, you have a family history in military? Just for me, it was kind of a fluke. Uh, but
Um, well, my grandpa on my mom's side raised me through my elementary school years. He was retired Navy. My grandpa on my dad's side was in the Army. While I was in Fort Riley, right before I got hurt, um, I joined up with that Ancestry.com thing and started doing a lot of genealogy research. Took me a couple of years. But come to find out that my family's been in every conflict that America's ever been in. So it's in the blood for us, man. The Conwells have a very, very long history of defending this amazing country of ours.
so you had it in your head you were going to join the military. Was that
Oh yeah, I gave up a 4 year basketball scholarship at David Lipscomb University, joined the Army.
wow? Well, then you kind of had this path that you'd given up. Was there like a decision point there? You had a choice. You could have, in fact, taken the scholarship and gone opposite route before or after the fact.
It could have, but both my grandfathers were very wise. They both of them always told me it was best to go in and get some grunt time in before you even thought about being an officer. Of course, I guess they still, they had to. I'm not going to say every officer has issues if they come in as a second lieutenant, but I understood what they're talking about. It's you
Mm-hmm.
want to get that you want to pay your dues before you actually take over a platoon. And some
That's
of
what
those
every
second
enlisted
lieutenants,
member says about officers,
right,
right? Not until you walk a mile in my shoes. Of course, I
right.
don't know a whole lot of officers that would say the same. Yeah, just go, officer.
Nah.
No, it's fine. Well, okay, so join the military. Um, man, this you, when was the injury? When was the incident? And this wasn't on deployment, was it? This was in garrison.
No, yes, January 7th, 2014, on Fort Riley. There's a road called Trooper Drive. I was going to get my guys some lunch. I hit black ice and ran off a 150-foot ravine. Um, Crushed both my legs. I lost the left one above the knee. The right one is a limb salvage. Between the kneecap and the ankle, there's 30 screws, 4 plates, and a 10-inch rod. I cannot feel my right foot, so I can't use my toes to balance. So it's like having a BK, below the knee amputation on the right side, because I can't use the right foot for nothing. It's like Mr. Deeds, man. You can stab me with a fire poker and I'm not going to feel it. um, it's that, like I said, that was right at my 10-year mark, man. Got hit, was medevaced out to KU Med, because Fort Riley's in Kansas, of course. Um, that's where they took my leg. The doctors told me that I probably would never walk again. If I did, that it was going to have to be assisted with either crutches or a walker or some type of assisted device.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was in the hospital for an entire year. Finally come out, you know, was medically retired October 27th of 2015 out of Fort Sam Houston down there at CFI, and finally came home. It went through some pretty dark times, man.
Mm-hmm.
Our PTSD from deployments and stuff like that, and then the depression of not being able to walk and wondering how I'm going to interact with my kids and my family and my friends. It's life changing. You know what I'm saying? And on top of it, I went through a lot of it on my own because a lot of people didn't come around because they didn't know how to act. They didn't want to disrespect me in any kind of way, but then again, they were a little nervous on what to do, what not to do, type of things. So, uh, kind of went through a dark hole for a while.
What's with you and your mutual friend Richard Kaufman and his vehicles? I don't think either of you should be trusted with like a jack or changing a tire. Um, you guys know you're supposed to ride inside the vehicle. Anyways,
Right.
were you? I mean, it's got to be tough. Yeah, just the physical recovery, the pain aspect of it, but then also, of course, the mental aspect. Now, you said you were already dealing with some baggage. You came back from, brought back from war, um, and on top of it, this injury, changing your life completely. Were you? What were some of the things what were some of the emotions? What were some of the thoughts going through your mind as you begin this transition from you know the old Brian to the new?
A lot of scary feelings, a lot of nervousness, a lot of anxiety. Um, like I said, a lot of depression. It
Anxiety. That's an interesting. You were nervous. What were you nervous about?
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time on my own dealing with my disabilities and stuff myself. So it's grocery shopping and learning how to drive again, and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the public, by myself. I'm in a wheelchair, so it's having to relearn your normal daily activities. Used to, you could just grab your keys, jump in the car, run down to the grocery store, go grocery shopping, and be done. Now you got to be able to transfer from your wheelchair into the seat of your truck and get to the grocery store, and then transfer into a cart, and you got 50,000 people that are sitting there watching you because in the civilian world, brother, they don't see injuries like ours every day.
You should
you
see the
know
looks I
it,
get when I try to change lanes.
it You know what I'm saying? So it's it was pretty horrifying there for a while.
Hmm.
It got really bad. I tried to take my life in 2016. It was September 2016. I stuck a 9 millimeter in my mouth and pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. Pulled it out of my mouth and went to go stick it in my dresser drawer, and it finally went off. Um, just a sign from the gods above, man, that I still have a purpose here on the earth and whatnot. So we just kind of dealt with the emotions there for a while, um, and then September of 2020.
Hold on. I don't want to. I don't want to go. I don't want to glaze over that. You pulled the trigger
Yeah,
and it didn't go off.
nope.
You fired a weapon before.
Oh yeah, many
You're a
times.
soldier. You're a soldier, right? You
Right.
knew how that was a personal firearm. So
Yep.
you fired a weapon out of uniform. You've had practice at this, safety training. You know how
Oh yeah.
it functions.
Yep.
Why didn't this thing go off?
A higher power, brother. The gods were looking after me in some kind of shape, way, form, or fashion. Um, there apparently is still work for me to do left on this earth. There were still people that need me. Apparently my kids, of course. Um, I guess it's just one of those moments, man, that we have that. Yes, that was an absolutely selfish and stupid thing for me to do, but when you're down that low, you don't think about things like that. All you're sitting here thinking about is, not hurting anymore, and these feelings of anxiety and depression and stuff just to go away. You want to stop crying. You want to feel loved, and you're just an empty space.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Now, if it were me, I would be thinking, man, really need to clean this thing. Oh, but I've heard so many. That's why I ask, is because I've heard many stories about how these trained killers, right? People who have trained to use the instruments of their occupation, turned it on themselves, and that instrument did not work. So it's pretty incredible. It's pretty surreal, actually. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hand of God. So obviously, you were thinking about your family. How many kids are you up to now?
I got six.
6. I've got 3, including identical twins, because I shouldn't be the only ones confused. But man, that's 6, and that was
Six amazing kids, man.
at that time. You had 6, right?
No, at that time I only had three. I had two. I got two by my first wife and one by my second
Okay, so after this moment, you got busy. Um,
wife.
uh, so uh, all right, so you realize that was the wrong action. What kind of action did you take?
I really didn't do much over the next few years, man. I ended up moving back to my old hometown of Malden, South Carolina, for a year, um, which was a mistake because I got away from my kids and thought that if I went back home to where I was raised, could link back up with some old friends and family, but I even just felt even more alone. Um, I did a couple of things with the nonprofit down there through a couple of concerts and stuff like that. Um, was able to do some things to show myself that I could get around. That's like I guess that's the positive side that came out of moving back down there. But I wasn't there but for a year. I turned right back around and moved back up here to North Carolina. Um, and like I said, man, it really didn't do too much. I really didn't start living again until about September of 2020. Um, I I was sitting on my couch looking at my shadow box, and I was like, this is my fault being down so low and so out of shape. I was 415 pounds and had no strength, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and you know, drinking gallons and gallons of sweet tea and eating just the crappiest food that you can possibly imagine. I was not taking care of myself at all. Um, but I finally came to the realization, and it was my fault. I let myself get down that low. What I did was I let other people tell me what I couldn't do, and I believed it. So it was my fault for not getting up and trying. So the house that I'm in right now, I actually is the house that I taught myself how to walk again in. Um, so I was able to surprise my son on his birthday in October of 2020. I was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick." He's in here cooking supper, and I slide my leg on, and I come walking around the corner, and the look on his face was just absolutely priceless. Um, just to see the big smile and the happy tears coming from his face of, you haven't seen your dad walk on his own in over 5 years, and all of a sudden he comes walking around the corner. You know, so I started dabbling back in the gym a little bit, once or twice a week. Just trying to go through the motions, get that muscle memory back going. And by February of 2021, man, we started hitting the gym 5 days a week, and we ain't looked back since. It's been absolutely amazing to get my athleticism back, and get my confidence back into myself. Got remarried in March of 2022 to an absolutely amazing woman who gave me three more amazing kids that she already had. Actually, our youngest daughter actually got accepted into Belmont Added College yesterday, which is one of the top 5 colleges in the country. So we're super, super, super proud of her. Um, I got into adaptive sports and got my Paralympic license in shot put and disc. Just finished up my third year of competing. I've got 21 medals in the last 3 years. Um, looking to hopefully make the 2028 Paralympic team in Los Angeles, man, and go fight for that world gold.
And I think I heard in the past you've also done was it wheelchair basketball and wheelchair rugby?
Yes, I actually am a part of the Rolling Hornets military team for wheelchair basketball. I also play wheelchair basketball at the National Veteran Wheelchair Games. It's
Hmm.
really fun, man. It's really fun. I tried to play rugby, but we can't find a chair big enough to fit my big ass. So,
I can't even comprehend wheelchair rugby. I don't even know how that works.
oh man, it's actually really fun. So the wheels actually have a big cover where the spokes would be, so that way you can run into each other and not destroy the wheels.
Mm.
You set the ball in your lap and you take and you roll down the court. I think with that, within so many pushes, you have to touch the ball to the ground at least one time, but you can run into each other, slam into each other. It's pretty fun. It's pretty damn fun to watch.
How do you do the scrum though? I mean, that's cool. I mean, fun. You guys are so lucky. I have legs, and I can't. I'm not allowed to do the wheelchair thing. But also, not being able to say, I make it a little awkward. But
Well, they do make sports for you, brother. They make quite a few sports for you.
I'm just not coordinated. Is the problem? Uh, no, they've
Practice,
I
damn it.
you know I tried. I attempted to do some of these like team sport things before I lost my hearing. But the
Yeah,
blast, the blast did make my hearing lopsided. Like my right side is far more gone. Like I hear more from I heard more from my left side than my right. So I
right.
would always like turn my ear to hear better, and that's like a rudder. So I'm constantly turning myself, and I would run into, I would just like walk in circles. Anyways, it made it bad for like beeping balls or, I don't know. I wasn't picked first for any sport teams. So were you an athlete before your injury?
Oh, absolutely. I've played sports my entire life. My grandparents and my parents put me in sports when I was like 7 years old. Started off playing baseball and eventually got into football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm the tallest one in my entire family, so of course I lean more to the basketball side of it as I was growing up. But I've always been athletic. I've always loved sports. Always loved the outdoors and stuff like that. Even while I was in the military, still playing basketball and ultimate frisbee. Anytime there was a sport or a big community day thing going on, I was all in it. Just absolutely love fitness, man. It's I don't know how to I don't know the right words to. It's very liberating for me to go out there and compete.
Yeah, I'm curious. How tall are you now?
6'6".
Are you? Do you have one? Wait a second. How tall were you before?
I've always been 6'6". I've never lost any of my height.
Are you? I thought. Did you save one of the legs, or are you bilateral?
No, I still have my right leg, but about three-quarters of the way down on my shin, I lose complete feeling. Like I can't feel my right foot. I can't move my
Mm,
toes.
okay.
I can't use them to balance or anything. So it's like having a below the knee amputation on the right side because things aren't working correctly.
What is your primary sport? What's your favorite?
Right now it's shot put. Um, it's an 8 pound ball. I throw from a throwing frame. Right now, shot put's what I'm trying to make it to the Paralympics in. So hopefully, hopefully that'll take us where we need to go. I do throw disc very well too, but the way the Paralympics are set up is everybody's in a certain classification, so that way it makes it fair whenever you do compete
Mm-hmm.
against other people. They do not have disc for F-57s right now. They took that away the year before I got my license. They took disc away from us, which hopefully they will give it back before the 28 games gets here because I can chunk that son of a bitch pretty damn far.
So, what is this? The what are the athletics? What's this done for you? Your life, your mentality, your outlook. Uh, What changes have you seen in yourself?
Oh yeah, man. The community in adaptive sports is amazing. Almost from what I have seen so far, I'm going to say about 65 to 70% of the adaptive sports world is veterans. So there's a big military presence in adaptive sports. Um, Being able to talk to other people that has the same injuries and learn things from them, being able to teach other people that's been newly injured, hey, these are some things that could help you along in your journey. Um, Coming out here and being able to train some people to actually pick up adaptive sports and to better their lives and give them a purpose back. Um, you know, Being wanting to compete at the level that I compete at, man, and put me in the physical and the mental shape that I am has done so much for my life. Um, like I said, I've gotten remarried to the most amazing woman in the world. Gained three more kids. Um, I'm happy, man. I don't sit back and I mean every once in a while I'll sit there and be like, it'd be nice to have my legs back, but I don't sit there and dwell on it like I used to. I don't sit there and let it drag me down through the mud anymore. It's a positive thing now because we're able to inspire and motivate and help other people throughout their lives by showing them that, as long as you believe in yourself and you dig down deep, you can accomplish anything. And on top of that is you don't let your disabilities define who you are. You let your disabilities be your superpowers, and you do what you can with them to improve people around you, including yourself's life.
My friend Eric Weinmayer calls it the adversity advantage.
There you go.
And it's true. It's for us. We were thrust into challenging situations, to say the least. Whereas we're it's like we fear, we reject, we try to run away from things that might be hard or challenging or take us out of our comfort zone. When that's exactly what makes us stronger. You don't build strength. You don't build that muscle without lifting some iron, right? You don't get
the,
faster
the
without
the
running.
famous the famous words from Ronnie Coleman: "Everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift them heavy ass weights."
I tell you what, comfort zone. What are you doing right now to maintain your fitness, to grow, to maintain your strength? My son is about to hit 14, and of course he wants to work out because he says he wants to get stronger. I know it's because the ladies. Yeah, he wants to get jacked for all of his middle school friends. Um,
Uh huh.
yeah, same like me. But he wants to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning before his little kid brothers get up and work out with me. And I draw the line at 4:45. Um, Also, he has no idea how to use supplements, and I don't think he needs it at all. But what are you doing uh, to to get to your peak fitness?
Oh man. Well, I can tell you right now, and this is for everybody when it comes to fitness, your diet is 70 to 80% of the battle. You have to eat the right food. You have to eat the right quantities. Your calories and your macros have to be on point. um, you're not going to outwork a bad diet. Now, the teenagers might be able to do it for a little bit because their metabolisms are so damn high and they got energy out the wagyu. But, at some point, you have to pull back on those cheeseburgers and those hot dogs and stuff like that and eat real food like chicken and fish and lean beef. My diet's part of it. Drink a gallon of water a day. I do have supplements. If your son ever wants help taking supplements, I can help him in that area. Absolutely. Um, and train. I train. I work out twice a day on top of practicing my sport. I'll go to the gym in the morning, work out for a couple hours, and come home and you know, work on my book a little bit and eat some good food. And about midday, a little bit in the afternoon, I'm back at the gym doing some cardio, getting some cardio in, and then practicing my sport, practicing shot put in the afternoons. So I stay pretty busy, man. I keep on my fitness pretty well. My wife will be able to tell anybody when it comes to it. I'm pretty dead serious. Um, I get in there and I lift with a damn purpose. I'm not going in there just to shape my body to look like a bodybuilder. I'm going in there to be able to throw an 8 pound ball down range.
Hmm. I don't need to work out. I'm naturally jacked, uh, but I like to, I like to support my son, so I'm out there with him. Plus, I do my prime rib smoothie each morning. Um, None of that's true. Uh, but
Hey, there's nothing wrong with taking a prime rib and sticking it in the blender and get it up, man. Throw some milk in there and some seasoning, scoop of protein, couple scoops of creatine. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, Yeah, it's so ripped right now from just I can do it with my mind actually, just make my muscles bigger. If you're listening to this on audio, go over to the YouTube, subscribe, of course, hit the like button, and you can see for yourself. Uh, Anyways, uh, I'm glad. And for let's say for the beginner, right? What are some of the like the core strength building, muscle building, maybe exercises, or what are some of the base um, workouts that you would do just to get started?
Well, I mean, your workouts are pretty basic. Um, there's really not any secret workout or anything like that. If we're talking to beginners,
Mm-hmm.
the first and foremost thing that a beginner needs to do is get their calories and their macro count done. They need to know what their goal is if they're trying to bulk up or if they're trying to lose weight. They need to get their calorie count done and they need to get their macros done so that way they know how to work their diet. That's going to be first and foremost.
Well, I was going to say, tell me how you track your macros. How do you know what like, how many macros you would need versus how many macros I would need? Is it do you need a dietitian, a coach, or is it just
Not really. I mean, I learned my stuff through ISSA. I went through ISSA to get my personal training stuff. Um, so macros are pretty easy to judge. We'll just say protein for example. That's the easiest one. Everybody knows what protein is. You know, if you're 250 pounds and you're wanting to be 275 pounds, you should be eating 275 grams of protein a day. You should be eating a gram of protein per body weight every day.
mm-hmm,
Now, that means if you want to stay at 250 pounds, then you eat 250 grams of protein a day. If you want to be 275, you eat 275. You know, if you're trying to be 225, you only eat 225 grams of protein a day. Um, Now, your calorie count, there is a formula to use with that. It involves your age, your height, body fat percentage, you know, how active you are. There's multiple different variables that goes into it. That's, you know, for us personal trainers, we actually have a formula to go off of. So, you know, I'll take people's information down and I'll actually have to go study because it takes some time to sit there and put everything together and then go look at certain foods and the amount that you should be eating and stuff like that to get to that point. So it's not hard, but it's easier if somebody already knows how to do it to let them do it rather than guess on what you're doing. I know there's a lot of macro calculators out there on the internet, but they're so far from the actual truth. You know, it's like, oh, I pulled it up off of bodybuilding.com. I'm like, yeah, you're probably off by a few hundred calories, you know, or your protein, you know, protein's pretty easy. You can read that anywhere. Um, you know, but you got to take into effect if you're a type 2 diabetic, then you have to watch your carbs because carbs can turn into sugars. I mean, there's so many different variables, man. It just depends on what you're wanting to do, and then talking to a professional.
what about other supplements? Are you taking powders, capsules, and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I take a good multivitamin every morning. I got protein powder. I don't use my protein powders as much as a lot of other people do. I try to get all my nutrients and stuff from actual food. But you know, I do drink a couple of shakes a day, especially when I'm on the go. You know, I'm busy with training and doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Creatine malhydrate, everybody should be using. It's one of the most widely used supplements out there. It's been around forever. It doesn't have any side effects. It has all the plus effects to it. You know, we take a pump capsule. We take a fat burner. Um, got quite a few things over there that we take. I got 4 or 5 different pre-workouts over there, man, just depending on how jacked up I want to be for the day.
I think, going back to the creatine, I think uh, the Huberman Lab, I think he did an episode entirely on creatine, and there are so many benefits and virtually like no drawbacks to creatine. So
Not really. A lot of people sit there and they worry about the little bit of water weight that you end up having with it, but creatine's really not a bad thing. It helps increase your strength. It helps create the lean muscle gains. It's your body actually produces creatine. You get creatine from meat too. So taking an extra 5 grams a day from a supplement form is actually really good for you.
yeah, that's it's pretty funny. We Everybody says you gotta drink water, you gotta hydrate, and then you talk about creatine, it makes you retain water. Well, wait, isn't that good?
I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The creatine goes in there and it kind of expands your cells a little bit. So therefore, that way you can get more nutrients and stuff into your cells and
Hmm.
whatnot. And for it to do that, it uses a little bit of water weight to help expand things. But it's not as bad as some people makes it seem like it is. Oh, you don't want to have all that water weight. Oh, shut the hell up, dude. You don't know what you're talking
Well, it's fairly well established now that Brian Big Country Conwell is bigger than your average bear. Um
about a little bit.
let's talk about recent incidents flying and uh, why this is causing such a dust up right now. What happened?
Yes, so I recently took a trip out to San Diego. My PR manager, Rob Garcia, uh, you know, purchased me a flight. I was being presented the Resiliency Award at the Service and Sacrifice Gala put on by Blue Lapis Media, which is ran by Brett and Sarah Davis. And Vetcom was one of the big sponsors out there. So I went to check in with American Airlines about 6 o'clock that Tuesday morning, and I'm sitting there in my wheelchair, got my bag, and called up to the counter, and I pull out my ID and I show the attendant, where my flight is, and he starts typing stuff in the computer. Well, all of a sudden, some guy that doesn't speak a lick of English decides to jump out of line and come walking around. My guy's bilingual. So I didn't really say anything at first. I'm like, okay, he's just helping him out, whatever, not a big deal. Well, he goes back and starts reading me my information back, puts me on the wrong flight at the wrong time and had me in the wrong seat. I cannot sit in economy. Plain and simple. My body, my height, and my prosthetic makes it impossible. So I looked at the man. I was like, sir, I was like, I understand you're trying to help him, but you did have me up here first. If you could please pay attention to me, all this information is wrong. I showed him my flight number on my phone again. I was like, this is my flight. This is the flight I'm supposed to be on. I need you to pay attention. And apparently that really offended him because he was like, first, second, third, what's it matter? If you don't like it, you can go fly with another airline. So I was just like, whoa, whoa. I was like, so you're threatening to kick me off my flight because I asked you to pay attention to do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me with a big shit eating grin on his face. I was like, all right, man, whatever. Just check me in so I can go on about my way. I was like, if you're going to kick me off, you're going to kick me off. I was like, I promise you, though, that'll be the last thing that you ever do. So we got checked in. He wouldn't even put a tag on my wheelchair. I was like, he gave me my ticket and stuff. I was like, hey, man, I was like, I need a tag for my wheelchair. Oh, you can do that down at the gate. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm getting away from this guy. Apparently, he's already mad. So I get down, finally get on the plane and everything, and had a little bit of the scuffle with the first class flight attendant. I'm sitting here looking in the first class seat that nobody's claimed yet, and the plane's almost done being filled up. And I asked him, I was like, hey man, I was like, if nobody takes this seat, you mind if I scoot up? I was like, I'm kind of cramped right here between these gentlemen. And he looked at me, yeah, that's not going to happen. We don't do that. I was like, oh. I was like, so we got another smart ass.
We don't do
So it's
that.
like I don't know. Yeah, it's like they don't move people up like that. It's like, okay, so you just been an asshole. You don't want to be a good human today.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but after the plane was boarded, there was a civilian guy that actually gave up his first class seat and gave it to me. Um, I told him no at first, that he was fine. He was like, "No, absolutely not." He goes, "I've seen everything that you've went through this morning at the airline." He goes, "You've been through enough. You deserve to sit here." His wife was very nice. The flight attendant did give me a little bit of attitude because the guy did give up his seat for me. Um, so I had to deal with that a little bit. But you know, American Airlines was just fine with a $50 million lawsuit for treating people with disabilities wrong, and you still have uh, colleagues of American Airlines that are still out there acting like assholes. Just because somebody's in a wheelchair or disabled, they think that they can talk to them any way they want to. They're lucky I didn't stand up. If I'd have stand up, he might have shut his mouth up. That seems like a thing with me. If people sit there and catch a little bit of attitude, if I'm sitting in my wheelchair or if I'm in the car, when I go to stand up, it's like everybody just completely just, oh, wow, you're really big. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to walk the other way. But, it is what it is. My manager, Rob Garcia, big shout outs to him, man. He's the best PR guy out there. If y'all not working with Rob, man, y'all need to look him up. But he's done all kinds of press releases and articles. American Airlines has contacted us twice about doing something for us, but I mean, what they've offered is just chicken scratch, compared to the bullshit that I went through.
What it is reprehensible. What it is illegal, actually, isn't it? I mean,
It
we have
is.
the ADA, we've got FAA regulations, and
Yep.
I know from many experiences, I'm definitely not going to turn this into the blind guy's stand-up comedy routine about airlines, but I could, and only because I've got the sense of humor about it. But they're required to make accommodations. Right? They have to tag your wheelchair. They have to find seating that you will fit into. They're required to.
Yep. Yep. And that's something that you know that we've stressed a lot about. Actually, on the way back, I was flying with Spirit Airlines on the way back, and they were absolutely amazing. They made sure that my ass was comfortable. So when I got on the plane in San Diego, I had a connecting flight in Las Vegas. Um, they don't have any extra seats with leg room except for first class. So when I went to go sit down, I asked the flight attendant, I was like, "Man, will you walk with me, please?" I was like, "I need some assistance getting in my seat." Well, I'd done that so that way she could watch me sit down. And when I sat down, the seat in front of me went forward 6 inches just because of how big I am.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Oh, no, you cannot sit there." And I was like, "Nope, sure can't." So she got me up. She moved me to first class immediately. She goes, "To be honest with you, sir, a man of your stature shouldn't be sitting in economy anyway, because if anything happens to the plane, you're likely going to get hurt before somebody smaller than you
Mm-hmm.
will." So she actually sat down and talked to me about quite a few things with my disabilities and how big of a man that I am, that they should every airline should be putting me in first class for nothing just because of my size.
Okay, but beyond all that, I mean, there's the regulations part, the legal part of it, the safety aspect of it, but then there's simply the customer service aspect of it. You chose to fly this this airline, give them your money, and they treat you like cattle, like you're part of the baggage. Don't talk, just get stuffed into this cabin however we can fit you, so I can, push this, tin down the runway. And it is no longer the friendly skies, is it? So that's man. That makes me, that's the worst part about this, because you know, customer service, right? You're giving them your business. You've chosen to give them your business. And I know you know, air travel is a commodity business. Yeah, every airline is virtually the same as far as they're all flying the same aircraft anyways, right? They're all doing, you know, almost they're all borrowing the same runways, the same airports, more or less. It's they just have different logos and different personnel. And the one way, I mean, the only way they can differentiate themselves, they have a couple levers to pull here, right? They can do it with prices, but then it's just a race to the bottom, or you know, you can't, in a commodity industry, you can't just do it on prices alone because you can't differentiate yourself. But you can do it with the operational efficiencies. And unfortunately, this is what it's come down to. But then that third lever to differentiate yourself is customer service. Now, you know, all you got to do is smile. You know, and I know sometimes it's a completely thankless job, and often it's the travelers that are, but that wasn't you. So it sounds like they're leaning too much on that second lever, operational efficiencies, and if maybe this person just forgot about that other lever, that they are serving a customer. But you don't have to. You don't have to fly, you know, American. You don't have to fly their unfriendly skies. There are plenty of other options out there. And I would, at this time, recommend to my audience that they, you know, they be selective in their own air travel, given the information they've just learned about how they treat their disabled veterans. And I'll tell you one thing. I won't take a free ticket from them. I haven't in over a decade now. I won't even. The couple of times that I've stepped outside of my, you know, when you step outside your own standards, uh, you know, there are standards for a reason, and one is I won't fly with them ever. And when I did, I'm just reminded why I set that standard in the first place, because they've forgotten about that third lever. I've got my own favorites, but that's not part of this. That's not germane to this episode. I'm sorry this has happened to you. What would you like to happen? They have made you a couple offers. They've tried to, you know, get this to quiet down. What have they offered you in consolation?
The first offer was $100 credit
Ooh,
on my next airplane purchase,
sweet doggy,
and
$100.
then yeah, and then the next one was like $420 for a flight. So it's, you know, the lady that I spoke to, I was like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, politely refuse. I was like, that's not acceptable, you know, especially what I went through. I was like, this is what I want. I was like, I want a public apology on your website. I was like, I don't want a letter from you. I want you to go on your website and publicly apologize. I was like, I want three first class round trip tickets for me to use at my discretion. I was like, you know, I got competition season coming up next year, and travel's always something that can be a pain in the butt to deal with. So, three first class tickets round trip for me to use at my discretion would help me out very much. And for y'all to come up with a new position with inside American Airlines, that whenever a person with a disability checks in, you have somebody that will stay with them the entire time from check in until they are set on that plane and everything is good to go, to make sure that they are accommodated in every single way that they need to be accommodated in. And they told me that they wasn't going to do none of that. That this was their last time that they were going to offer me anything. That this was a judgment of goodwill and a way for them to apologize. And I was like, no. I was like, that's not good enough. I was like, your employees was just your company was just hit with a $50 million lawsuit, and your employees are still acting this way. This is not okay.
What is it about
Absolutely not.
apologies?
I
Why
was
is it
like,
so hard to apologize? To accept responsibility.
you know what I'm saying? And it's like I explained to the lady. I was like, if the public apology is not to make you look bad. The public apology is to make you look good.
Hmm.
It shows that you stepped up and that you did the right thing and that you acknowledged that your company made a mistake and that you're going to fix it. I was like, you would keep more customers with that happening rather than you just not saying anything about it at all. I was like, but your big guys, all they're worried about is money. So it's like it's all right. It'll get back to you at one point in time.
Yeah. While you're at it, would you slide in a little line for me that says they don't need to send the wheelchair for the blind guy. Uh, I don't know why they do that. But it's not important. Never mind. Uh, so okay. Uh, Still waiting to hear back on your counter offer. Uh,
Yeah, we gave it a little bit of a rest. We were hammering at it pretty hard there. No, Rob, my manager, was hammering at it, for a good week and a half.
mm-hmm.
So we slid back just a little bit to work on a couple other things, but we're fixing to jump right back into it for the simple fact because we haven't heard anything. We've tried to give them ample enough time to sit there and talk amongst ourselves about getting this deal and stuff done, but we haven't heard anything. So we're fixing to start the press releases and stuff back up again.
Well, I hope they come to their senses. They fix this. They make they do some customer service training. You know, they weed out some of these disgruntled frontline employees. But that sounds like a job. That person sounds like one of the throwers, the baggage throwers in the bag. Um, beat up our luggage and our people. Uh, but what are you most excited about? What's coming up on the horizon? I know you recently put out your competition schedule for 2025. What else is happening? So tell me about that. Tell me about what else got going on.
We got 4 competitions scheduled up for next year so far. The Army Trials, Desert Challenge, the National Veteran Wheelchair Games, the Warrior Games. Um, if we make Team Army, that's if we make Team Army for the Warrior Games. Waiting on dates for nationals and stuff to come out. We're waiting on the big ones to release dates, and then we'll adjust the schedule from there because nationals are more important than anything else right now. Um, March the 15th, 2025, we're finally having the release of my documentary that's going to be coming out, Rise of Sergeant Big Country. We're having the release party here in Mount Holly at Tross Brewing Company. We'll have information about that up on my website and up on my Instagram page by mid-January. Um, got some pretty cool projects that we're going to be going into after the documentary comes out. If you don't come to the party, from what I've been told, it's going to be on Hulu, Amazon Prime, Roku, and a few other streaming services. So there'll be a chance for everybody to get to see it. Um, Hope everybody enjoys that. Everybody that we've showed it to so far has had to reach for a box of tissues. So the producer and everybody did a pretty damn amazing job at recording everything. My kids are in it. My wife's in it. We got some hometown friends that are in it. So it's pretty wild. You get to see where I was raised, where I grew up, where I went to high school, and stuff like that. And I pretty much take you through the basic part of my life through the military to where I'm at now.
That's awesome. And I heard also you do some speaking.
Yeah. I love doing motivational speaking. It was something that I used to do back in the day. One of my good friends, Sean Kanan, three-time Emmy Award-winning actor. He's in Cobra Kai. Y'all don't forget to check out the new season of Cobra Kai that starts today. By the way, um, he's trying to get me a couple of TEDx talks going on. But I'm open if anybody needs a good motivational speaker to come out and talk to your events and stuff like that. Y'all can go to my website at sgtbc.com and put in a message, and we'll definitely get back to you.
Well, that answers my next question. Where do we find out more? Where do we get a hold of you? So thanks for ruining my next line. Well, Brian, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. But before we go, the final segment of the show is called the Countdown to Impact. And this is 3 books, 2 quotes, and 1 person who have all made an impact in your life.
3 books. Way of the Cobra is number 1. I am in Welcome to the Kumite as we speak. A third one, I will say Cobra Couples whenever I start that one. um, what was the other ones again?
3 books, 2 quotes or lessons learned, and 1 person.
2 quotes. The quotes are kind of hard to say, man. I would have to probably go with lessons learned. Um, one thing that I've always done for myself is, and I tell people this all the time. Whenever you get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, look at yourself in your mirror, tell yourself that you're a badass and you're not going to let negative moments in your life conquer your day. Number 1. And number 2 is you need to dig down deep, believe in yourself, and work hard, and you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. Those are my 2 personal quotes that I tell people whenever I'm out and about at my competitions and I'm doing my speaking.
Terrific.
1 person, oh, that is so hard. My wife, my wife. I have a lot of influential people in my life. I have a lot of people that's by my side, a lot of amazing sponsors. I have an amazing manager and stuff like that. But my wife is number 1. I never thought that I would ever be loved like I am. Um, and she has shown me what true love actually is. I don't, for once in my life, I don't have to worry about what's on her phone, if she's talking to somebody else, if she's going to pick up and leave, if she's out doing shit that she's not supposed to be doing, because there is no worrying with her. Her love for me is pure, is genuine, and the woman literally will do anything in her power to make me happy, just like I would her. I finally know what true love is. And I have to say that my wife is my most influential person and will always be my most influential person because of that true love.
Plus, it's pretty hard to get away with 6 kids. You can tell.
Man, I
You got a
love
good and
I
anchored.
love every single last I love every last one of my kids, man. We got 4 boys and 2 girls, and life is never dull. We always got something going on. It's a blessing. It's a true blessing.
I believe it. Well, Brian, Mr. Big, is that Sergeant Country? I I really appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing your story. It's incredible. It's been absolutely inspiring. So I wish you all the best in the future, and uh, well, I hope you bring home some more medals, some more awards, some more wins in the next season.
Absolutely, brother, and appreciate you for having me on, man. I've been waiting to get on this show for a minute, man, and speak with you, man. You're an amazing person. You do some great things out there in the community and whatnot, brother. And thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for your service as well.
You're welcome. And to the Disruptor Nation out there, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you sharing your most precious resource, your time, and spending it with us. If you would, please go to the YouTube, to whatever audio podcast you're using. Give us a thumbs up, 5 stars, leave a review, leave a comment. I promise I'll get back to you. And share it with a friend. Take the link and text it to 1 or 2 friends you think would really benefit from hearing Brian Conwell's story. Because I tell you what, we need to get the message out. We need to tell others, not just as an inspirational story, but also hold some of our companies to task for, our patronage. Well, with that, I'll talk to you soon.